I'm awful poofy today. Poof. Why do I look so pale? Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy July 11th, 2021. Hang on just a second, y'all. Go ahead and do our spiel, baby.
I don't know who we are, where we came from.
Well, if you don't know where you are and where you come from, you don't know where you're going.
I don't know. Well,
Who does God say you are?
Heathen. No, I'm just kidding.
Good morning. We're Hot Mess. I'm Amber.
I'm Leroy.
And we're two of the 5 family members of the Bradshaw family. Good morning, Tammy. How are you this morning, sister? Tammy's had a huge celebration this week. It was her daughter's 16th birthday.
Wow.
Is she getting? Lyndon was supposed to ask Iris the other day if she's getting her driver's license. I'm curious to know. In our family, I started driving at 14, on my own at 15, and got my license at 16. Timmy didn't get his till he was like 21. Were you 21 or 20?
I was 20.
Gavin was 21. And that's not because we didn't want him to. He got in a car wreck at a young age when my mom was driving, and that just kind of freaked him out. And then we got him a scooter, and a van ran him over, ran him off the road, and gave him a concussion. That freaked him out. So he tapped out for a while, but now he's driving, so we're good.
It's a scary thing.
Tammy, you're baking cakes this morning? Girl, I couldn't run my oven if I wanted to right now. It is a scary thing, and sometimes it took me a long time after I got my car wreck to get back behind the wheel. That was when I was 16, and a drunk driver ran a red light and hit me. So anyhow, I'm sorry, y'all. Haven't done anything with this right now. I made my bed. That's what you get. You get a made bed. None of mine been driving until about 18. I think that's wise. I honestly don't think that a 16-year-old is mature enough, not in the fact that they don't have the skills, but they don't have the other life skills that come with driving in emergency situations, dealing with a flat tire, getting stuck in a snowstorm, in their phone. Not your kids, Tammy, but most teens, they're too attached to their phone to really have the responsibility of driving, in my opinion. But anyhow, where we live off grid, we moved from our urban homestead in just south of Myrtle Beach in Pawleys Island, and we've been living here almost 3 years and some odd months. But we've only been living off grid for 2 years. However, the on grid, off grid part, it was the cabin living really wasn't considered on grid. I think it was harder to live there than it is up here, to tell you the truth. Don't you think?
It was rough.
Because the mud and everything, and the darn hauling. Yeah, I got to do something with this, y'all. I'm sorry. I do own a brush. I just don't use it. I went to go use Timmy's, and it was full of beard hair about halfway up the bristles. So I gave but we've had a busy, busy week. And if you've chat with me personally, you will understand why we were so busy. In my life, I was busy because I make all of our own homemade products, and I also sell online at the farmers market in Knoxville. And I make everything: smoked sea salts, infused sugars, herbal teas, honey straws. Honey straws take a really long time to make. They didn't used to, but we live off grid, and I can only use the heat sealer to seal the straws when it's really sunny out. So I have to wait till a sunny day in the middle of it, and then I can use the heat sealer. That's just one of the things that you have to learn.
And it goes a lot quicker with 2 people.
It goes a lot quicker with 2 people.
Assembly line.
Most of those, FYI, most of the honey straws that you guys see that say local, they're not. They sell them in bulk online. And I actually, if I wanted to be dishonest, I could buy them in bulk online way cheaper than I can make them myself. Way cheaper. But no truth in advertising, huh? A way to tell if a homemade honey straw is homemade is the ends. If they are all perfect, that's your first clue. If none of them break a seal, that's another clue. If they're all exactly the same, that's another clue. Because that does not happen in nature. That does not happen because of human error. That's a computer, machine, whatever. That's what can produce those things.
Yeah, we've got about 100 feet from our hives to our kitchen where we make ours.
Yeah, look at it. Well, speaking of, we need to pull honey this week
Yeah.
from this hive here, not the others, but this hive, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because speaking of honey, and we'll go into the meat. That was the topic today. It is meat security, and I said, "Where's the beef?" Have any of you had any issue going to the grocery store, and seeing shortages of meat? What we had? Yeah, he hasn't gone to the grocery store lately. So we had the shortages of meat last year, which was a smokescreen for something else. I'm not quite sure what. And we talked about that briefly last week because last year during COVID, I think we're still in COVID. I don't know what season we're in right now. I haven't looked at my bingo card recently. Shark Week. It's Shark Week. I know that much. But anyhow.
I don't live at the beach anymore.
Last week, see, that's the crazy thing. This is how crazy the world
We got
is.
land sharks.
He just said we don't live at the beach anymore. I guarantee you it's going to be on someone's bingo card this year. You're going to see it in the paper. Shark found in local lake. Not even saltwater. That's what we're going to see this year. But anyhow, last year they're like, oh, there's a meat shortage. And everyone's like, ooh, freaking out and going and stocking their freezers and buying tons of meat. Meanwhile, we have farmers in our group that are going, they canceled our contracts. There's a farm in Ohio that was just giving away their pigs because they had euthanized all their livestock because they didn't have any contracts. Then you got butchers. You can't find a processor. They're on a 2-year wait list. It's crazy. Hang on just a second. We haven't had any shortages yet, just sky high prices. I just paid $5 a pound for a 93.7. So are you talking about ground beef, Tammy? At $1 from last week. Because if that's $5 a pound for ground beef and it's not grass-fed organic beef or grass-fed all natural beef, girl, it's cheaper to buy a cow. Seriously.
It's just ground mutton.
But anyhow, I look like I've just been, hang on, y'all. This is crazy. I thought wearing my hair down would be easier. But anyhow.
Yeah, I need to fix mine. Yeah. There we go.
I'll just shave yours again.
Good. My ears are looking.
She said yes, ground. Oh, see, I don't buy ground beef. We just do ground turkey, which isn't a whole lot better. Is that better? It's not any better.
She's got that Friday feeling.
So anyhow, where was I at? Oh, there wasn't a meat shortage, but now. So I don't know if you've seen the headlines that Tyson recalled. I was mistaken last week. I said 3 million. 8.5 million pounds of chicken. So who wanted chicken wings? This joker. We went to the store to get chicken. No chicken. They had processed chicken patties and little chicken nugget thingies that aren't even chicken. And that's the agenda they're pushing right now, y'all. The global warming thing, the whole, save the planet from global warming is, and of course we had snow, all the way up until May and then some in places. The global warming, they want to get rid of cows. I just shared an article. Shoot, what country was that? Do you have a joke?
The cows are farting up the ozone.
They're not letting the animals go on pasture because it is, I can't even remember the absurdity of the story, but it was in the news, whatever the news is, and whatever latest story they want to make up.
Man, you could fuel a car with that stuff, though. They should process it.
We're not going to listen to Timmy this morning. He hasn't had enough coffee. But they're not letting the livestock out on pasture because it was racist.
Oh.
Because the pasture land was taken away from.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, and then it had to do too with global warming. And I just can't wrap my head around it. But y'all, we keep sitting back and watching this stuff go on because we're like, oh, certainly that can't be. It is, and we're not doing anything about it. That's the craziest thing. We're like, oh, well, they'll never do that. That's famous last words. Oh, we'll never do that.
Well, the things that you hear that sound so absurd that I mean, it doesn't make any sense are happening. And that's the crazy thing about it, because it's just.
Is that a chopper?
Yeah.
We have a military base on the backside of our mountain, and they fly over our land in a grid pattern a lot, looking for drugs. But anyhow, or so they say. That's what they're looking for. Who knows? You don't know what they're. Anyhow,
still, Tennessee.
So now they're pushing the whole fake meat stuff. They've seen it, and Burger King already has one. It's like it's a Whopper that's not a Whopper. You don't even know what it is. It's just stuff in it that's not meat. So now they're creating on purpose. My sister said yes, at her place is $3.99. We just jumped 10 cents to $3.19. It's crazy. Yeah, gas is another one because of all the oil fires and the pipeline fires. And then they've had more cyber attacks. I mean, y'all, we keep operating in our little bubble like nothing's going on. This world's falling apart. I'm not kidding. Yeah, our little bubbles might be okay. Well, our bubble isn't. Our personal bubble's kind of a mess right now too. But this family stuff, it just, I mean, not us, of course, not us.
Well,
what was that roll in the eyes? You ready to fight?
The thing about it, we have all of our resources right here, you know.
And you mean in the United States?
In the United States, and
we import everything.
It doesn't.
And deport everything.
Yeah, and it's so easy to lose it when you sitting there waiting on something to get shipped in that you need to make something, or at least put the package together so you can send it back overseas so they can assemble it. And it's
the chicken. That's one thing that I really did like about the Trump administration is they were trying to bring jobs home. They were trying to take stuff that we sent overseas and they brought jobs home. They've undone all that almost with a new administration.
Yeah.
But here's the thing is we need to try to focus on being self-sufficient as much as possible. And that does not mean producing everything yourself 100%. Self-sufficient can also mean you connect with other like-minded people. And as Tammy, you, for instance, you love baking. I'm not a baker. So say we're friends and we live in the same area, you know, hey, Tammy, I'll grow the flour. I'll grow the, you know, whatever, einkorn, or I'll grow the wheat, you know, and you bake. We'll trade. I'll provide you the flour and the grains, and you bake the bread or the cakes or whatever it is that my family needs. And you can create relationships like that. You know, I mean, you don't want to be completely codependent on somebody else, but I'd rather be codependent on my neighbor than codependent on the freaking government. Sorry. So let's get back to meat. We don't know what they put in that non-meat stuff. We honestly don't know what they put in the meat. For years, I've had reactions to it.
It's non-meat.
It's non-meat.
Yeah.
Because a lot of farmers, or those that raise commercial agriculture, let's put it that way, they give a lot of antibiotics to their animals because of the living conditions the animals are in. They're more prone to parasites and infection and bacteria. So they give them a lot of times antibiotics as a preventative, not just necessarily a treatment. And I'm allergic to most antibiotics. So I've always had some type of reaction, either minor or underlining or major. So raising our own meat to us has always been very important. What?
Yeah.
When I went to the grocery store looking for chicken wings for this joker, because that's what he wanted. And then I sent Gavin to another store in a different town and they were out too. They were out of chicken. I got home and we were sitting there talking about it. And there's also this other thing that's going on right now. Grocery stores in major areas, major cities are stocked. Those in rural areas or outlying aren't. And my friend Lori, she's like, they're trying to keep the people compliant. And I get it. And so anyways, I told him, I said, you know what? Praise God, we got that cow share. because we couldn't afford it at the moment that we did it. I was freaking out because I didn't have enough money to pay for it. And I agreed to do it like months before when we did have the finances. But God provided, and I can't remember how we ended up affording to do it, but I just know, I think I got paid to do something that I wasn't expecting, like an article or something. And so we were able to rub our pennies together and do that. And at the time, God, we would. So now, not even 2 months in the future, was it 2 months ago that we got that car? Was it really that long ago?
Yeah.
It might have been a month and a half. I don't think it was 2 whole months. In the future, here I am going to the grocery store with empty shelves, praising God that we have a full freezer. He knew what we would face. I didn't, you know. But it let me know. How do you feel about all that? You're kind of quiet.
Well, I mean, it's a blessing. I mean, when you get an opportunity to, fill your freezer, and it seems like for us, God always sees it through. He knows we need it, and he made it happen, even though we didn't have the money.
But I mean, we paid for it. We didn't get a discount. But
yeah. But I mean, he makes it happen. I mean, and there's no such thing as free money or anything. But God's plan, it shows up when you need it.
And another thing, like I said about the meat, where's the beef, is kind of where our title is, like food security. Some people still, like, I talked to a friend of mine who's a true patriot. She certainly is. She's up on all the latest news. She has a huge heart, and she actually owns a really big nonprofit organization, a legit nonprofit organization helping those in need. And I messaged her. I'm like, hey, girl, you stocked? She goes, no, I need to start. I'm like, how could I have not talked to her about this? I talk to her about God all the time, so that's not a thing. She knows that scripture inside and out. I have not talked to someone I care about food security and prepping. Y'all, that's not as important as sharing your faith and sharing the salvation of Jesus, but that should be like right underneath it somewhere. Because if you care about your friends and family or your neighbors, you need to talk to them about food security. Now, I'm not telling them, scaring them into the sky is falling. It doesn't mean that, we're going to have an EMP or anything else. You could have a hurricane. You could have a fire. You could have a flood. There could be a food shortage. There could be another, there could be a semi strike of some truck drivers. Anything. It's good to be prepared. And I don't think that it's fair for those that don't want to do it because they're like, no big deal, to rely on in their mind, oh, I've got a friend that's a crazy nut that preps. I'll just go to their house when it hits the fan. I have too many people in my life that feel that way, that talk that way, that know better. Sorry. Ain't gonna happen.
And, it's a gradual thing that you do. It's not like
it's a mindset.
Yeah, you don't go in at the last minute and clean the shelves out, because
they do though. That's why we had all the shortages last year.
People go to buy food and
it's not there. Look at flour and yeast last year. I've been saying all year long, where are the stinking pictures of the homemade bread all over Facebook and Instagram? Because every single one of these jokers wiped out the flour and yeast. And I'm like, where's the pictures? You don't see them because they ain't making bread. They panicked. They probably never made a loaf of bread in their life, but they're like, oh, we got to get flour and yeast. But as far as the prepping, if you care about people with right now going on, you need to talk to them and help them, guide them about food storage and security, about rotating their food when you go to the store, say you need a can of tuna for lunch, a salad, dinner, whatever. Don't buy 1 can, buy 3. 1 for now, 2 for later, and you just start stocking up. And that doesn't cost hardly anything to do. I mean, not everybody has a walk-in pantry or the ability to store a half year's food, but they could store 2 weeks. Everybody can store 2 weeks of food. And maybe that 2 weeks is enough to buy them some time. What?
Nope. I'm good.
So as far as meat security though, we've been a lot of times people think cow, they're trying to think of what they already eat, right? And then others is like, well, I'll just start hunting. Let's visit that mindset for a moment. If, say you have 1,000 people in your community and maybe 100 of those people hunt, right? That's who hunts on a regular basis every season. Your little diehard hunters. Out of 1,000, you get 10% that hunt. And those people, those 100 hunters, sometimes will get an extra deer or an extra turkey for their friends or family or whatever, but there's a tag limit. There's a bag limit, right? And the local wildlife authority, and here, I forgot what it's called. In South Carolina, it was the DNR. Sets that tag limit to help keep that livestock, the population from not overgrowing, but it also protects the population. So there's enough left to reproduce for the next year. That's in your normal case scenario, right? So now, say there's a sea, and those people that didn't prep and didn't stock or anything else all want meat. Now you have, let's say, 900 people, because you already have 100 that are hunters that have put up meat for the season, that are all wanting to go out and start hunting. What do you think is going to, they don't care if it's not season and that doe is pregnant and hasn't birthed yet, or they're hungry and they're hungry right now and they want that meat. They're not going to care about preservation or the future. They're going to care about right then, right now, because desperate people do desperate things. Yeah. So your livestock, our wildlife is going to be decimated in one season in a case like that. Everything's going to be overhunted, overfished, and overkilled, right? I mean, just like last year. Last year, people were having their cows were being butchered at their house in the field, and whoever was doing it was only taking a section of meat and leaving the rest of the cow. They were stealing chickens from people's backyards. I mean, it was crazy. And that was just over a freaking cold and the flu, right? That wasn't like a real bad situation. That's the kind of things that were happening last year. We had to remove our farm sign from the front of our road because we were concerned about people coming here for livestock that weren't invited.
You never know.
So that mindset of, well, I'll just go hunting in a situation like that is not, it is good if you're on foot and you have to leave your house for whatever reason, but it is not a good backup plan for failing to either try to raise your own protein or store your own protein right now. I'm sorry, I was a little passionate about that.
That's a good point. I mean, people do desperate things.
Add in chronic wasting disease. No kidding. It's we could go on and on. How much time do we got this morning? So the next thing, though, is as far as raising meat for food security, you don't have to get a cow. You don't have to have acres. We have found recently, we have acres, but we don't use them. Our biggest, I would say our biggest consumer of our land is our pigs. Then from there is our goats. Chickens are really easy to do in a small square footage of space. We've been talking about meat chickens a little bit in the group. You're not on Facebook and in the groups, but Cornish Cross is the go-to for everybody's meat chicken. They go to full weight in 7 to 9 weeks, and you butcher them, and that's done. They're not a sustainable meat bird. What's the other one, Tammy? Is it Freedom Rangers? Red Rangers? Gosh, I can't remember. And I wrote a chicken breed book. They're also a fast grower, and they process out at 9 to 10 weeks. However, they don't live old enough to really Freedom Rangers. Is that right? I'll have to go back and look. But anyways, they don't grow old enough to reproduce. Red Rangers, I believe. Thank you. At least someone's listening, paying attention. And so it's a one and done. It's not a sustainable or self-sufficient breed because you keep having to purchase babies from the hatchery. And Derek, who's our member, said that he did keep a breeding pair of Red Rangers. He says, but the meat was not of quality. They didn't get big as quick. So whatever they do at the hatcheries, he was not able to duplicate in nature. So, in truth be told, you don't have a very fast turnover with chickens as far as getting a regular, sustainable, self-sufficient breeding pair to do eggs, to hatch them out, to do them like you do regular meat chickens. But still, if you plan ahead and you get enough babies and raise them, you can have, a sustainable, it would take you longer, more like 20 weeks plus, 16 to 20 weeks to get to full size. But still, if you plan ahead and you have enough chickens, one chicken a week for 52 weeks, you get 52 chickens, and you process one a week, you can do 52 chickens. That's a lot. I was going to say, you have to time your hatching eggs. I was going to say that takes a lot of square footage as far as 52 chickens, but you can do it on a lesser scale, like hatch out eggs every 21 days, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And do it that way. So 10 chickens at a time. But that way you don't have to take up so much space. And what is another one that you can do in raised meat in a small area? They don't need acres. Rabbits. They produce new babies every 31 days. They can breed within hours after having a babies. You don't want to do that though. You don't want to wear out your moms, but a good week or two, she's ready to go. And then they kit. They have anywhere from 5 is kind of low, all the way up to 13 babies at a time. And they can get to butcher weight in a short period of time, in just a couple months. Some people do them at 8 weeks, but the processor that we just went to that taught the class, or say processor, that taught the butchering class, she does them at 12 weeks. So at 12 weeks, you can have around 8 full-size rabbits to feed your family. And she says one rabbit will feed their family of 3, and she had a young-ish teenage boy for a meal. And then they have leftovers, and then they take the bones and do bone broth, and so they take a very small space.
Yeah.
Plus, you could use the pelts, right? And they take quail. Quail's our newest one.
Yeah.
Did you see she's sitting on eggs this morning?
Yeah, she's been sitting on eggs.
I wonder if she's going to hatch them out. They said quails make bad mamas.
Well, I know something's going on because she's losing some feathers on the back of her head.
That's from the males mating with her.
The males are, yeah. They're
tagging her.
So.
They're so aggressive. All of our hens are bald on their back right now. Speaking of, so quail, you can raise those in a very small space, like your bathroom. I mean, you don't need a large space for quail to raise that protein. And I mean, I'm a big old gal and I like to eat. So I'm not quite sure how many quail it would take to feed me. But 1 per meal would be more than sufficient. And what is another protein that you can raise in a small area? We've not done it ourselves, but a friend of ours owns, it's called aquaponics. And he started back in the 70s. 80s, maybe 70s. I can't imagine that he's that old. I want to say 80s, where he developed a barrelponics system. Anyhow, we visited their house, and he developed a aquaponics system that you could ship in a box. And he went over to third world countries, and he helped develop that and install it for them. He used tilapia, did he not? That was his fish of choice. Mm-hmm. And they harvested the tilapia, then they used the manure for that and grew vegetables and fruits and stuff on the top. And that was, he had one that he called an apartment aquaponics system, and where you could grow your fish, and that could be a sustainable resource of protein. So there's a lot of things that you could do with minimal investment and minimal space to help give yourself food security, even if you don't have acres and acres of land. What is another one? If you want to get into bugs, crickets, we raised those before. we're raising mealworms. It's not ideal, but in emergency situations, and not only that, if you raise those proteins, they could help feed the protein that you're raising. What?
Worms.
You eat them all the time. You just don't know it.
Yeah, spaghetti.
I'm talking about real worms, like parasite worms. And if y'all can think about a protein that people can raise to help be meat sufficient, self-sufficient, drop a note, because I'm just familiar with what I'm familiar with. I can't talk about things that we don't have experience with. So, you know, it's always good to share with others. And I'm always interested in, I don't have experience with this, but gerbils, like I do have experience raising gerbils. I just don't have experience with raising them for meat. But they are, from my understanding, a very good, takes up a little bit of space that you can reproduce easy. It's just not, we treat them as pets. Hey, sweetheart. Oh, I like your clothes.
She's hip, man.
Good morning. How are you? You ready for your friend to come over? Mm-hmm. We had the best experience yesterday. I was exhausted, but our local theater offered free movies for kids and free popcorn and a free soda, and it was Christmas in July. And guinea pigs, that's what I'm talking about, not gerbils. Thank you, Tammy. Gifts. And it was just it was a great experience for the kids at the theater. Did something like that. Did you have fun? Mm-hmm. You had a good time. It was a good movie. It was a good movie. It was the newest Grinch. It's an animated one, but anyhow.
I could tell you just woke up.
Why, because my hair?
Yeah.
I had it. She goes, I can tell you just woke up. I have made coffee, picked up the kitchen, made the bed, swept the floor, did my push-ups, helped take care of the livestock, and this is what you get. But that's it. I see you're itching to go get coffee.
Yeah, I'm good.
Timmy, I was talking so much about meat. Real quick, what did you do this week? You and Gavin.
Yeah, we're installing the shed, and we were able to.
Wait, whoa. You skipped the whole frame building process.
Yeah, and the process is building a foundation for the shed to sit on.
Stop for just a second. Y'all, Gavin and Ashlyn are just starting to clear their future home site. They need a shed up there to store all the tools so they're not driving up and down the mountain. So Gavin bought a shed, one of those kits, and so did we. Yes, we could build one, but it saved on time and it saved on resources to just buy one at Lowe's. I think it was $360. They're 8x10. However, it needed a foundation. There you go. Now go ahead.
So yeah, we built the foundation, and now I am putting the shed together. So I'm hoping to finish that up today. And
the foundation wasn't no easy feat. I mean, they had to cut down the trees, skin the bark, tar the bottom, dig the footers, clear out the area, and it's in direct sun. And you monkeyed yesterday.
Yeah, it was a 50 chigger process, and
the chiggers. I forgot about the stinking chiggers. I'm still itching.
Chiggers.
I'm seriously bit from head to toe with those stupid things.
And it's all being prepared. You know, you got to be prepared for this kind of stuff around.
All I did was deliver letters. It definitely provides some extra ambient noise at night, scratching all night long. I woke up in the middle of the night the other night and I still have my back scratcher in my hand. So I fell asleep with a back scratcher in my hand. And then all the Chiggerax, like the best thing that you can use, is out of stock everywhere online. And yes, it's something. Now, see, just talking about it, I'm sitting here scratching. That's something we should have had in stock. Everyone's like, take an oatmeal bath. Like, that would be nice if I had a bathtub. But anyways, so you've got the framing up for the sides, and now you just got to put the roof on, right?
Yeah, I got to put the roof on, the front doors, and,
secure it.
Finish it up.
The kids got the delivery from Ashlyn's grandparents. The grandfather passed away, and they drove to Florida, and they picked out things they wanted that grandma didn't want anymore. And they had a truck deliver it yesterday. And I went for their home, like a compressor, a generator, some entry doors. I mean, they've got toolboxes with tools in it,
Doors, windows.
windows,
Yeah, just
ladders. I mean, it was such a blessing that it was
yeah.
never expected, and it's just, and even like a welder for Timmy.
Tools.
And
Tools are a big thing.
tools are a big thing, and that just, their gift saved them thousands of dollars and really gave them the head start that they need in building their home. It couldn't have come at a better time. If you think about God's divine timing, I mean, they're just getting ready to start building their house, and all of these tools show up.
Yeah.
How does, you know, I mean, that's just, it was just such a blessing. And that was just an amazing thing to happen for them. I'm really excited for
Yeah,
them.
he's definitely motivating me, keeping me focused.
Keeping them worn out.
Yeah. So
We're excited.
I'm busy.
We're excited to watch
we're,
the journey.
We're in
Let him go on, baby.
almost the middle of July, so it's getting pretty warm out there. And
one of the things I'm really thankful for is the pool, though.
yeah,
Oh my
pool
gosh,
is
that
nice.
pool is so refreshing. We jump in it in the morning after farm chores. We jump in the evening before
Yeah.
bed. That's probably what I got here is pool hair. I'm
Yeah.
going with that. I got pool hair. So this week,
it ought to be a little bit cooler today because we got some rain last night, and that rain that cools the pool.
this week, we have. You're going to start on yours. Your foundation.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to do something. I got my truck. I've got to put.
Oh, you got a
brakes on.
truck. He's got to
I
fix
got
his truck.
Another foundation to build, and
then we're teaching a soap workshop Sunday. I have it there Sunday.
I'm not sure when I'll get started on it, but
well, I'm looking forward to it. You guys,
Yeah,
things are happening.
sometime.
Even their little total surprise. Didn't even know we were missing a chicken. Evidently, we've been missing her for a month because it takes the 21 days to hatch it out. She was under the deck though, and that's a whole nother story because some of the babies didn't make it. You can see them through the deck, but you can smell them through the deck. So we need to figure out how to rip up the decking boards to get to those because it's not a pretty thing and it stinks. But anyhow, now we got baby chicks, so we're really excited. So that's another sustainable way. This is the first time we ever had chickens hatch out their own eggs. We normally hatch them in the incubator, but she has 3 baby chicks that are alive and kicking, and she's a very good mom. So that just tickled me because we didn't have to do nothing.
Nope.
All right, y'all. You guys have a blessed Sunday. We got to get going. Tammy, I got to talk to you at some point in time. I've got all the documents up to read that I want to read before we talk. So anyways, y'all have a blessed Sunday and share with your friends about starting to store food. You can hear about them. If not, pack extra for them because they're going to come knocking on your door. You can smile.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Smile. Bye, y'all.